Hey team, it is Kim here coming in with an in-home tuck and roll live session, and this one is called When the Storm Comes Rolling In. So this has come up purely because about 10 or 11 years ago now, my shitstorm rolled in, my spiritual shitstorm. So when I was a kid, a well-meaning family member realised the skill set that I had and basically said, people will hurt you for that, they'll never believe you, don't talk about it. So, you know, as an 8-year-old, you're going to put a lid on that and put it away. So the reason why I'm so good in my corporate career is because I'm highly intuitive. I can read the room faster than anyone else. I can read what's coming. I can see what's the go. And while I can do that, I wasn't tapping into my skills full time, or I wasn't utilizing them to their full potential. So around this time, 10 or 11 years ago, 12 years ago, I really had a spiritual storm. I just finished studying my Cert 3, Cert 4 personal training, had a personal training business, was getting consistent sore throats, like every 4 to 6 weeks. My throat was just going yuck. It was throat infections and then into ear infections, and then both at the same time. And at one point it actually ended up being like blackout migraines. So I would feel it coming in, and then my body would, like, physical body would just shut down. So there were times my husband would have to drive over the other side of town to pick me up and then take me home and put me in a darkened room and all of that kind of stuff. So for those of you that are just coming in, we're talking about my spiritual shitstorm, and how it all came about. There was a period there around Christmas where my husband and my daughter had gone away. We were living in Adelaide living in Canberra at the time. They'd driven down to Adelaide to see his family, and I stayed home. And I'd had one of these. I decided, you know, whatever happens when we're in different postcodes happens while we're in different postcodes. So I took off to the Canberra Centre to go and spend a fuck ton of money. And by the time I'd left home, I felt fine and got to the Canberra Centre, which is probably a 15-minute drive. I started to feel really yucky. And so I sat down for a little bit just to see how I'd feel, and really got that very big internal nudge, get your ass in the car and get home. So I got to the car, rang my husband, said something's not right, I'm going to head home. And he goes, okay, no worries. So by the time I got home and I pulled up in the driveway, I didn't even put the car in the garage. I pulled up in the driveway and I had him back on the phone, and I said, I'm really not fit. Like, this is one of these ones again, like it's worse. Like, I just can't. And all I remember is walking into the house, and that's it. Okay, so he's ringing 000 from South Australia, trying to get someone to the house to find out what's going on. The Ambos have turned up at my house. They're banging on the door, to where I got up in a daze and let them in, thinking, what the hell is going on? And I'd literally passed out. Like, my physical body had said enough. Okay, and so they took me off to hospital in an ambulance, and I spent 2 days in there getting all of these tests done. Turns out it was very much stress induced, smack bang in the middle of a spiritual storm, I like to call it. I was working 9 to 10 hour days trying to support an executive that wasn't interested in his particular role at the time, and doing a lot of the workload, as well as running my PT business, as well as trying to be a mum, as well as trying to be a wife, as well as, you know, all of these skills that I had hidden, and put away and put aside were coming to the surface. It's like the lid is coming off the jar. So I spent a couple of days in hospital. Hubby drove straight back from South Australia. The doctors, a medical test came back all clear. The doctor said it is stress induced. You need to figure out what you're doing and how you're going about it. And it was then that I had a beautiful client, PT client, who is psychic medium, works with the angelic realm as well, and she started to slowly turn around and say, you realise why this is happening, and she was very gentle about it, and I'm grateful for that, and provided that safe space to have conversations. But I think if I can go back and share any of that with you, it's really to recognize what your physical body is telling you. She is not going to lie. She is not going to, like, it is literally the vessel within that your soul is being held within, your spirit is being held within. And if you keep ignoring it and the red flags and the signs that she's giving you physically, it will sit you on your ass. It will literally sit you on your ass. So at that point in time, I had to make some pretty big decisions about whether or not I wanted to stay in that role, which I didn't, so I moved on. Whether or not we were to stay in Canberra, which we didn't. We came home because my dad ended up having quite bad cancer, and we only had a few months left with him, so we made it home in the January and he passed away in the August. Whether or not I was going to do my spiritual work as a spiritual advisor, consultant, whatever you want to call it, put a label on it. Like most people go, psychic medium work. Okay, that's the work that I do then. I'm in the intuitive arts, honey. Let's put it that way. And over the last 10, 11 years, I've just found myself consistently in situations in which it's my job to go in and shine a light on what needs to be addressed. It's my job to go in, whether it be corporate or whether it be my consulting services. It's my job to go in and literally put stuff on the table for other people to sort out. I can come up with a solution, not a problem in the world, but most times my job isn't the solution. My job is to blow that apart and make it very clear what needs to be worked on. So there was a time there I used to refer to myself as the Tower card from the tarot, because I'd walk in and blow everything up, energetically speaking, of course. I'd go in there and blow everything up. But more than ever now, I realise that it's not just the Tower part of it, it's the Strength card from the tarot as well, because the reason why I can go in and do it is because I am such a huge feeler, and I feel the feels, that I'm very compassionate and empathetic towards those who are going through that as well. And there's been some doozies that I've had to support over the last 3 to 5 years. And it's been hectic. It has been huge and intense, and I keep reminding myself I would never be put into a situation that I could not handle. Spirit wouldn't allow me to do that. And they wouldn't allow you to do that either. And you can make decisions all you like along the way, and they will still try and navigate you to the best case outcomes. But sometimes we just don't do best case outcomes because we just make decisions to get ourselves even into worse situations. So I guess my message in all of this for you is if you need to take the time out to just stop, okay? Let me explain it to you this way. I always talk about energy with regards to train stations, okay? So it's not, for me, it's not about up and down, it's which train station are you going to stop at? You get to choose. So sometimes we'll go past train stations because like you can go past, go and collect your $200 because you've done the work, that's great. But sometimes you've got to stop at a train station for a bit and do the fucking work. And sometimes it's just, you don't want to do the work anymore. You're overdoing the work. It's too much. But when you stop at that train station, you are meeting the people that you need to meet. You are picking up the skills and refining them that you need to refine. And then you can get back on the train onto the next train station. So at each train station for me, and I can look back at it as an overview, looking back in the rearview mirror is just such an amazing way of being able to go, oh, that's what that connected to, so I could do that. So in every one of my corporate gigs, I guess, over the last 10 to 15 years, I've worked with high managers, like general managers, directors, chiefs, whatever you want to call them, okay? Very, if not the CEO themselves, always the next layer down. And it's because I've been able to hold such an energetic space to be able to navigate with them what they need to do and hold a certain vibration for staff to be able to walk into, and they need that as well. So whether it's that particular executive or the staff that's working for them, you know, I'm the one that helps them navigate those things. And I'm just watching this big butterfly out on my back deck at the moment. It's just timing, right? So my skill set has been refined and refined and refined, not just over lifetimes, but particularly this one. Sometimes I've had my fingers burnt by the fire. Sometimes I've had a huge kick up the sometimes I have found myself in situations that I should never have been in. And that's just where that be the adult you needed as a kid comes in, okay? No disrespect to our parents. Our parents are only ever doing the best that they can with what they have and the skill sets and the knowledge that they have. But we can do better when we know better, right? Some people just choose not to do that. So if you are about to ride a spiritual storm, if you are about to get back on the train to get to a new station, whatever you want to call it, if you are doing any of that at the same time as we navigate Christmas, it is a fucking pressure cooker, okay? Please make sure you're taking the time out for yourself. Get out in nature, go sit on the grass, put a blanket down if you don't like the itchiness of the grass, that's okay. Go and spend more time in the shower. Water is an amazing healer as well as an amplifier of messages that comes through from spirit. Don't be afraid to work with your energetic spiritual pit crew. I've always called them my spiritual pit crew. Don't be afraid to work with them, okay? Don't be afraid to listen to the nudges they give you. Write it down in a notebook if you need to. Have notes in your phone, okay? Put a date on it, notes in your phone about what comes through, and then come back to it a week later and see where it's all fallen. The reason why I use crystals and cards, a lot of people don't, a lot of people do. I like to be able to see the story being told. I'm a visual girl. I like to be able to see the story that's being told, and I know a lot of clients like that as well. Some just want to hear it straight up, and I'll give that. Like, they don't need the accessories. They just want me to tell them what the fuck's going on and how we can get out of it. So there's a little introduction to my spiritual shitstorm for you. When I started making some of those really big decisions, the impacts on my health definitely lessened. I started coming out of being the miserable at the table and was a much happier girl for it. And I'm a much better and nicer person to be around these days, but that doesn't mean I don't have boundaries set and don't have standards to work by, okay? These are, like, I have rules of engagement. Many of you know my rules of engagement, okay? And I will share those with you again very shortly. But I really do want you to recognize that it's okay if you're going through that shitstorm. Call in your support team, spiritual, medical, mental, all of it, okay? So that you can navigate it the best way you can. So I think I've done enough reminiscing for everyone. I hope this has helped you in some way, shape or form. Sending you big lots of love on this Christmas Eve, 2024. And yeah, we'll talk again soon. Much love.